Questo è il secondo appello. Vedo ancora un po' di attrazioni alimentari. Sì, siamo pronti qui. Allora, prego di accomodarvi in maniera tale che possiamo iniziare. Diamo ancora qualche minuto. Prendiamo tutti il nostro posto. Allora, bentornati.
Welcome back. Some information for the second session. We dealt with different literacies in this morning with speeches covering various fields, showing us as the international organization dealing with libraries and culture are preparing for the analysis of the futures. So how can we expand our knowledge? The next session will be dedicated to the core of our field of the libraries, the reading literacy, and we will have here different protagonists of this sector. Among the protagonists, there is only one librarian, Adrian. All the other persons here involved, from the school to research association, dealing with teaching and other organizations. So we will tackle here reading literacy, and we will have reports on projects and actions developed in the last years. From a point of view of the organization, we have Mr. Improta can't be here, but Ms. Menicucci is here at the table in substituting Mr. Improta. Mr. Improta is the school head of the Capitini Perugia. Thank you for the invitation. I apologize on behalf of my school head. He could not come today. It was impossible for him to come today, and I thank for this beautiful organization, everyone involved, and the contents presented were highly interesting. We need to take them in our hand and to expand them in various directions. Mr. Silvio Improta is the manager of the school responsible for school libraries. On behalf of Mr. Improda, I thank you for the invitation, and he apologizes for not being here. I can just introduce briefly the experience I was involved in, because I am in charge as responsible person of the school library. So I am in charge of the various tasks of the school in relation of the school libraries. We coordinate, organize many training activities targeting teachers. So we could develop an interesting, good practice made of relationships, coordination, new knowledge, improvement of already existing relationships, underlining the relevance of the importance of the network in this sector. Has emerged from your reports. There is still a lot to do in this field, so we have to work a lot, but now our enthusiasm has grown because we have seen results both in personal terms as well as in terms of formal relationships. And this guarantees the potentiality, the leverage of possibilities in this small region. A small region where we have issues, for example, of transports. So this cooperation that arose from this network between school libraries and town libraries is a start base for the future. We start with the first report. Every speaker has a quarter of an hour, 15 minutes at disposal. I want to introduce them, Carlo Di Chiacchio and Margherita Emiletti. They are both researchers of the Invalsi, with an important role in Invalsi projects, international researches on large scale.
Thank you very much for your invitation. It's always a pleasure to come here to Orvieto. This is the most difficult moment, the after-lunch moment. We are researchers at Invalsi. We deal with international surveys. Invalsi is famous for international surveys, Invalsi tests in schools, but there's a smaller area of the institute dealing with international surveys. We've been asked to speak about the literacy in reading, so we have thought to talk about to make a brief introduction on international comparative surveys. What are these surveys, the definition, and some examples of these tests. So we want to show you what are the tests that actually the students carry out. In the second part, we will talk about the results regarding Italy. And we're going to talk about the tools that we use for our surveys. We will show you some reading habits of the students. So today's surveys are the IEA surveys. It's an international association for the evaluation of educational achievement. It's about the understanding literacy in reading. IEA, they do make surveys on mathematical skills. We will present the OECD PISA survey. And it is a survey about the literacy on reading, not only in reading, but literacy in mathematics and science. For both tests, there has been a transition to the digital format that took place in 2016 for the PIRS and in 2015 for the PISA. In the beginning, the tests were carried out on paper-based. Later, they were carried out computer-based. This allowed us to use a new web format that allow us now to make a different consideration, specific consideration on the reading aspect, digital reading aspects. So we have a text to use as a prompt, and PIRS works with primary school, 4th class of primary school, while PISA works with students, examined students, teenager students, 15 years old. From one side we have the school, tests carried out by whole classes. We have we champion a school, and we sample a school, and we have students subscribe to that school. Doesn't matter then the class they belong to. Talking about definitions, PIRS defines the literacy as the understanding to the ability to understanding and using the written form, the written language required by the society. The reader is able to build the meaning of the text in different forms. And he knows that the goal is to learn, to participate to many activities, and for personal pleasure, while PISA has a similar approach and defines the literacy for 15-year-old students as the ability to understand, use, evaluate a text, to reflect on them, and it includes the emotional aspects to reach your goals, to develop your knowledge and your potentialities, to become an active part of the society. The concept of literacy includes many processes to use reading in different contexts and for different purposes. Talking about understanding processes and the cognitive process of the students while answering questions, PIRS identifies retrieval and inferences, the ability to interpret, integrate and evaluate a text, while in PISA we have the identification of other processes. Of course, 15-year-old students are asked different processes. That means localizing information, understanding a text, different forms and kind of text. Peers classify the text on the basis of two goals. We have a literary text and informative text. Informative text have enabled to develop. For PISA, the texts are categorized in different dimensions: for source, organizational, and navigation structure, text format, continuous text, non-continuous text or mixed text, kind of text, why the text has been written and how it is organized internally. Just to give you an example of one question asked in one of the peers' text, community. Il vaso vuoto is a kind of text. It's a story of a Chinese emperor that has to choose the person coming after him. So he organizes a kind of a context where all the children have to participate, and one of them will be the future emperor. So this is the format. The tests are submitted to the students with they can navigate across the different pages using the lateral functions. There is a window with a question. What did a child receive from the emperor? So the task is to identify and report an information which is which can be found in the first part of the text. Here below the answers that are accepted as valid answers, in this case a seed, a flower. So the speaker is telling about the story, how the story goes, giving details about the story. So this is a real example of the real format, and how it's carried out, the test, and the questions that the students have to answer. This is an example of the digital format. The process is a direct inference. It's asked to carry out a direct inference starting from a set of results from web research. This is an example of a PISA test. This is also a simulation of an online chat, of an online blog, where there are several persons giving different contributions, answering an initial questions. Well, it is a blog on animals, on curing animals. And so there is a starting point of the discussion, and the students has to understand why this information has been given and why more precise information couldn't be given. Another example from the PISA taken from PISA tests. There's another question. The multiple choice format. It's asked to to understand if the information is present in the text or not. I mean, if the information can be found in the text, it's a fact of the test, or it is only an opinion of the author of the test. So Margherita showed us the content of the tests. I am going to show you the results of the PIRLS surveys for the children, regarding the children in the 4th grade of the primary school. This is just a short overview of the results, but you can download these reports, these complete reports, in the website. Regarding PIRLS, our students achieved good results. We had results higher than the average. If we compare Italy with the other European countries, we didn't achieve the same score as Bulgaria, Denmark, and Norway, while the countries with higher results are Finland, Poland, and Sweden. Those graphic underneath shows the difference between students with low skills and students highly skilled. As you can see from the graph, Italy is at the last position. So the difference between less skilled students and highly skilled students is shorter with respect to the other countries that have achieved similar results to ours. In PIRLS, we champion the classes. The children inside of the classes can have different ages. This graph shows you the relation between the scores in reading and in the age. Of course, the older ones have a higher competence, but as you can see, our students are younger but have a similar scores to the countries that have a set of students, a group of students with a higher age. If we have a look at PISA, these are the data of the last survey carried out on 2021. Italy is among the 20 countries obtaining a higher result compared to the OECD average. The other countries are Denmark, Poland, and Sweden. Regarding other competencies, it's clear there's a strong relation between mathematical skills and competences in reading and reading skills. So 50% of the variability is shared. It's interesting to see that from a conceptual point of view, the two aspects go together. So being skilled in reading helps the skills in the mathematical field. Let's have a look at the changes over time. Italy has participated already since the first editions. Italy behaves like the other countries, so the trend has not improved, has got worse with respect to 2016. In 2021, we had 10 points less, but we had a look at the global trend. there haven't been great variations. If we have a look at PISA, basically the Italian scores, the Italian performance was stable from 2000 until today. But there has been a negative trend with respect to the other countries. We have been kind of fluctuating. We have been a bit unstable, but you know, we have we've been able to find our track. There are differences in gender. In the mathematical field, boys are better, while in reading skills, girls are better. PILS shows that in Italy, like in other countries, girls have better results with respect to boys. And if you have a look at the trend, this difference is constant with respect to the previous cycle, but both girls and boys had a worse performance, worse scores. Regarding PISA, the same thing happens. The difference in the scores is higher in secondary high schools, while in Italy the results are worse of 19 points with respect to the previous cycles. The operation carried out by these surveys, comparative surveys, is to build ability levels, understanding the ability level from the data. In this slide, we represent the work we carry out. So we present a set of questions organized from the easiest one to the most difficult one. With each question you earn a score, and that enables us to understand which level the students can be collocated at. In peers, we have different scales. Peers organizes in four levels, while PISA has 6 levels. In peers, the basic competencies are described by the basic level of the peers and level 2 of the PISA. Under this score, it is extremely difficult to use the reading as a functional skill competencies. Only 3 students out of 10 in Italy can be placed under this level, 94 at a national level, and these students with 15 years old, but at an international level, Italy has less students under this level with respect to the international countries, to other countries. The goal is to bring all the students to at least to the basic level. While if we have a look at the highest level, the advanced, which correspond to the 5 and 6 level of the PISA scale, The Italian percentage is lower. If only 5% are skilled in reading, in the reading ability, while at an international level, the number doubles. So the system brings every student to the basic competencies, but it is less successful. It doesn't help to give, it doesn't give enough value to the excellencies, to the excellent students. The first question, going back to the text that was submitted, the first question was a basic question, corresponded to a basic level for children of the 4th grade of the primary school. 97, in our country, 97%, 86% are able to answer these kind of questions. The question regarding the forum, the chicken forum, the forum on animals, it was a simple question of level 2 than basic level for teenager students, 15, 16 years old. And in Italy we have 20 students out of 100 that are not able to answer of this kind of question. Well, here the data is synthetic. It's a secondary school, and there are different kind of schools, different specializations. So it's a synthesis data. The result is 1 out of 2 students are not able to answer the question. So considering the fact that the students come from different schools, from different specializations. The question for the addressed to children of the primary school, the 4th year of the primary school, it was about looking at information, looking the answer for on Google. You can see a graph. The question was 48% to what extent you agree with the following assumption on the use of internet. 48% answered to be positively. 8% of the students answer correctly to such a question. The other question was a high-level question. In the story of the Chinese emperor, the question was, how do you think the emperor appreciates more? What does the emperor appreciate more on a person? So the emperor was looking for a person on the basis of his honesty, and that was considered as a high-level question. Another high-level question is the question asking if an assumption was related to a fact contained in the text or an opinion of the author. The students, 15-year-old students of high level are the half of the students are located in the high percentage skills. these questions are particularly important because they give us information. They give us information on the context of the students. They participate to this text, to these tests. They give us a lot of information on the context the students come from. They give us information on many aspects, and this can enable us to make a certain type of interventions. We'll have now a look at the time that is the reading habits among students, the time they dedicate to reading, what they read, and if they have pleasure in reading. Regarding the 9-year-old students, they have a positive idea on reading. More than 74% affirms to read out of the school context, to discover more, to gather information, and 2/3 reads for fun. Most of the students says that they like reading, and are able in the peers tests. And even in this case, girls have achieved more positive results. In Italy, we're talking about Italy. As for the perception of their own abilities, skills, reading skills, many kids declare to have a positive perception of the reading skills. And as we've seen in the presentation on the health literacy, it is very important involving families in the reading activities with children. Regarding the 15-year-old students, at 15 years old, there's a good opinion on reading. They mainly read to look for information, but they also read to talk about the book they've read with other people. Basically, at 15 years old, there's a good. It's a good self-assessment in considering 50% consider himself or herself a good reader. And most of them, they consider themselves able to understand the difficult text. The following is the conclusion slide. It's about the reading habits of the 15 years old. We can see that they basically read literary texts, and they use a lot of chatting rooms. To conclude, we can say that our students, both in the elementary school and in secondary school, achieved good results compared to international context, but we have to work more on the highest competencies level. In both ages, there's a positive attitude toward reading. And regarding the modalities, at 15 years old, they read to look for information, and the main activity, like we said before, is the main activities carried out by them is chatting. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Di Chiacchio and Emilietti. When we talk about literacy, we need to understand, we need data, we need to quantify, we need to understand who we're talking about. So the data, we've seen that the data are really useful to understand better our users. So let me invite Adrian Langendonk. He's a librarian. He's, in this case, responsible of a program on reading of the National Library, of the Dutch National Library.
La parola.
Yes, yes, thank you, sorry about that. Hello again, it's a warm day in Orvieto. I'm happy to be here, thank you for inviting me. I like to talk, can it be silent please? Because I don't speak or understand Italian, and I try to speak slowly in English. It's also not my mother language, but I'm trying. I like to talk about the National Dutch Reading Promotion Programs, and it's called Book Start in the Library in School. Let's see. This is me, obviously. My name is Adrian Langendonk. I think you just introduced me, so I'm the national coordinator of these two programs. And these are coordinated by the Reading Foundation, the Dutch Reading Foundation, and the National Library. And the programs are executed by local public libraries. Let's see. Yes, these are the two symbols. Book Start in the Library in School is combined with a nationwide provision of reading promotion and literacy networks. So these are the three program lines that are collectively known as the Art of Reading. This reading promotion program is initiated by the Ministry of Science, Culture and Education, and it has been in existence since 2008, and it will at least run until 2028. So for 20 years, in a few years. Okay, I will show you a video shortly, but first I like to point something out. Reading attitude in the Netherlands is quite negative compared to other countries, both in the case of 10 years old and 15 years old students, according to recent Pulse and PISA research, as shown in an earlier presentation, the presentation you had just. So the Netherlands is not very good in reading anymore. At the beginning of this century, the Netherlands was second in the world, I guess, and now we are below the European, how do you call it, like the middle of the European results. So that's not good. And these two studies show that reading ability has been decreasing for the last decade, especially on a level of evaluating and reflecting on a text. This has made people more conscious of the importance of reading promotion, and therefore there has been more attention and more government money available in the past years. Bookstart and a library in school are increasingly seen as possible answers to the question, how do we get our children reading again? So first, I'd like to show you the video, and you are helping me. Thank you. It is in Dutch, but it is subtitled in English. I hope you can see it in the back of the room.
Dat is zorgen, want lezen is belangrijk en vooral ook leuk. En het mooie is, lees je nu, dan lees je later. Je hoort het jongeren wel zeggen, waarom zou ik nog lezen? We hebben toch internet. Siri kan ons voorlezen of ik deel mijn verhalen in emoties. Ja, het internet is ook mooi, maar dat is niet het hele verhaal. Voor 80% van het werk in Nederland moet je goed kunnen lezen en schrijven. En lezen is niet alleen goed voor je carrière, je krijgt ook toegang tot werelden die vermaken, verrassen, inspireren. Maar het gaat niet goed met het lezen in Nederland. Onze jongeren hebben het minst plezier in lezen van heel de wereld. We moeten dus het lezen stimuleren en iedereen gelijke kansen te geven. Voorlezen en doorlezen zijn belangrijk, want kinderen die kunnen lezen en er plezier in hebben, gaan meer lezen. Daardoor gaan ze beter lezen en blijven ze lezen. Om die positieve spiraal te stimuleren hebben we in samenwerking met de bibliotheken 2 programma's. Voor de allerkleinste is het Boekstart en de bibliotheek op school is er voor het VO, VO en het beroepsonderwijs. En daarmee bereiken we nu al meer dan 1 miljoen kinderen. Dit is de Boekstartkoffer. Een koffer vol leesplezier voor ouders en hun kinderen in de leeftijd van 0 tot 4 jaar. Knisperboekjes, pagina's vol figuren, kijkboeken, bladenboeken. Je wordt er al vrolijk van als je ernaar kijkt. Daarom kan iedereen, zodra een kindje 3 maanden is, een gratis boekstartkoffer ophalen bij de lokale bibliotheek. En meteen een klein gratis aanmelden als lid van de bibliotheek. En het mooie is, door mee te doen met Boekstart en regelmatig voor te lezen, zet de ouders een positieve leesspiraal in gang. We zien dan ook dat die kinderen in hun 2e jaar al een voorsprong hebben in hun taalontwikkeling. Maar Boekstart is meer dan deze koffer. Het programma ondersteunt ook de kinderopvang met scholing en met collecties baby- en peuterboeken. Goed verhaal toch? Kleine lezertjes worden groot. Maar om ze ook tot grote lezers te maken, hebben we de hulp nodig van het onderwijs, de bibliotheek en de gemeente. De bibliotheek op school is een breed programma, waarmee we volop aandacht geven aan een dagelijkse leesplezier op school. En natuurlijk ook thuis. En omdat alles draait om lezen, vormen de letters van lees de 4 pijlers van dit programma. Om lekker knus in je boek te kunnen duiken, moet je er wel één hebben. Wij zorgen voor een gevulde boekenkast op school. En dat er bijvoorbeeld fijne plekken zijn om te lezen. Het is belangrijk om te weten hoe je kinderen enthousiast kunt maken voor lezen. En hoe je ze enthousiast kunt houden natuurlijk. Stichting Lezen heeft hiervoor opleidingen tot leesspecialist. Bij alles wat we doen, baseren we ons op wetenschappelijk onderzoek. En daarnaast monitoren we jaarlijks de effecten in de klas. Samen kunnen we de leesvaardigheid en het taalgevoel van nog veel meer kinderen verbeteren. Want van baby tot jongvolwassene, iedere leest geweldig. Dus steun het leesoffensief. En wil je als school, kinderopvang of gemeente ook aan de slag met Boekstart in de bibliotheek op school? Neem dan vooral contact op met je lokale bibliotheek.
Thank you. Thanks. So I will continue with the presentation. Okay, I will skip down this. So This is the next slide. The Reading Foundation has developed the continuous reading line serial till 20 years of age. I just pick my iPad. In which it has set out its vision with regard to reading promotion as a continuous stimulus for this age group. The continuous reading line is also intended to ensure that children do not experience difficulties when transferring from preschool to primary school or from primary to secondary school. So it was mentioned in the video. We have 4 pillars. That's the Dutch word for leggere, if that's the right word. Yeah, leggere. And it's read, of course, in English. And that's a reading environment. So that's not only the collection on a school or childcare center, but also a place where you can read in safety and silence. We are talking about the expertise, of course, as well from the reading consultant, from the library, as from the teachers and other experts. The evidence, very important also to get government money. You have to give evidence every time. So we have scientific research, but also a monitoring system on every location that's cooperating. And then we have the collaboration, that's quite important too, especially for strategic reasons. So this is the building blocks of the programs. They are derived from the pillars of the programs, the READ. The Bookstart and Library in School programs comprise 7 interconnected building blocks arranged in a PCDA, Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. So you can see it here, just going around. And these 7 pillars are quite important. And it is, these 7 pillars, building blocks, are the joint responsibility of the school or the childcare center, and of course the library. The school or childcare center conclude an agreement with the library against an agreed fee per child, which may differ per municipality. The school or preschool acquires a library, trained staff, 2 to 4 hours professional support by reading consultant every week, a collection of 3 to 5 books per pupil, etc., etc. So, and then for the strategic, we made a design of the literacy networks from a local library. And you see the library is in the center, that's the leader of this network. So by setting up a strategic literacy reading promotion network centered around the library, the programs are more solidly embedded in local policy and easier to finance. This network involves local politicians, stakeholders from daycare centers, youth healthcare, cultural organizations, and of course, educational institutions. So the next few slides is about Bookstart. I just paid a lot of attention yesterday to Bookstart, so I skipped these 3 slides because of the time as well. Of course, we will send the presentation to Olympia, but I like to talk a bit about the library in school. So the library in school program encourages children and young people to read more. This is done with expert reading consultants from the local library, with inspiring books and an inviting reading environment, both physical and digital. With the library in school, the library and the municipality are joining forces, and daily attention is paid to reading pleasure at school and at home. The library helps elementary schools, secondary schools, and vocational education to achieve this goal. So this is the largest percentage, so nearly every public library is now working with this program in the Netherlands. And we have 134 public library organizations. We have about 350 municipalities. A lot of libraries are very big, and they are helping up to 13 municipalities. That's the largest library organization. So, and about half of the schools, the primary schools, are joining this program at the moment. Secondary schools is much lower, the percentages are much lower. So about 60% of the libraries and 32 of the schools. And that's these schools, the secondary schools, is the lower educated schools. So like, I don't know how you call it in Italy, but it's not the gymnasium or the athenaeum, but more the vocational education. Yeah. Okay, let's carry on. Maybe I'm in time, I'm not sure. I've got about 5 minutes. I need 5 more minutes. So here is the continuous reading line again, but now you see some figures. And that is because of the bad PISA results. The government told us asked us to help libraries to open new locations for Bookstart in childcare and the library in school. So these are the new numbers. So in 2023, we got 30 million euros from the Dutch government to install 500 new locations with Bookstart in childcare, 780 in library in school, primary education, and 113 schools with libraries in school in secondary education. And yeah, that's very nice. It's a lot of work, but it's nice that we get that much money, but we've got a problem, so it is necessary. And it's not the end of the story, because in 2024, we got even more money, up to 25.6 million euros. And the next 2 years, also about 25 million euros. And then, this year, we connected up to nearly 600 in the preschool period, so the Bookstart in childcare. About 300 in primary schools, 126 secondary schools, and for the first time now also vocational education, 39 education schools for vocational education. But, oh, wait a minute. Yes, this one. But we got also money for already started locations, so libraries who started back in 2012 or even 2009, they get now money to continue on the schools and the childcare centers that they were financing themselves. So these are the numbers, up to 4,000 schools. This library got the money and they can spend it on these locations. And okay, I end with, and we hope and expect the new government, since July 2024, will structurally invest more the coming years to improve the reading results of their children. So, this is my presentation. Thank you so much.
Grazie al dottor Lagendorf, ci ha presentato questo interessante.
I thank Mr. Lagendorf that presented this interesting policy put in place in Holland. I think it's very interesting, both interest of the Dutch government in this kind of programs, but also some difficulties, for example, in the higher education level, and this seems to be similar. So Adrian showed a great activity in the Netherlands, and this can be interesting also for the works we are carrying out in Italy. I thank you also for complying with the given times, and I want to introduce you Miss Molly. Lo faccio io?
Intervento, la rete delle learning site.
So the word to Mrs. Mirna Molli. The title is the new national plan, the new national action plan for reading and the reading packs. Good evening, everybody. Thank you. Thank you to the region Umbria, to Olimpia Bartolucci, the library Fumi, and I only want to tell something before starting. I'm really sorry that I couldn't be here yesterday. So I thank you especially because of the imprinting of my family, but I started reading because I was invited to by a librarian, and I started reading again with my children, and I am now a volunteer of the project Born to Read. And I read to my children during the pregnancy. I also assumed folic acid, but, and this is the negative aspect, I changed my job, and I have been working since 2015 at the Center for the Promotion of Books and Reading. What I want to present you now is the national plan and the reading pacts, which are two of the main programs started according to a new Italian law. And my wish now, and I say it at the beginning of my intervention, and that we need more meetings of this kind, so that at the higher level of the policy will join in a common effort aiming at enhancing this reading index. Especially in Dutch, in the Netherlands, they are not very high, but Adrian gave us a very interesting framework of the policies put in place in the Netherlands. The new action plan for reading and reading pacts, I will concentrate on I substitute our president, our chairman, because they were busy for other, they couldn't come today. I would like to summarize in my speech the state of the art of the national plan, which has been implemented, and we are waiting now for the second step of the national plan for reading, the municipality pacts for reading, intercommunal, intermunicipality pacts and regional pacts. L'Umbria, Tuscany and Veneto and Abruzzo at regional level. This tool has still to be implemented. We start from the law. The law 15 of February 2020, which promotes these provisions to enhance reading, aiming at the progress of the well-being of the cities, of the Italian citizens. This is the article number 1. It takes into consideration quoting some elements of the actions
already started, the National Plan for Promoting Reading, Local Paths for Reading, the Italian Capital of Books, the Cultural Chart, and these are the action plan, these are the direction we are dealing with. Then we have the amendment of another law concerning the price of books and the Award Library of Quality and tax reduction, which is dealt with by the ministry. This is the international basis of the action plan. It's a 3-year action plan. We started from a Spanish project which showed an improvement in Spain of the reading index, a relevant improvement from 50 until 62%. And on the basis of these outcomes, we started a plan in Italy. The goals are promoting the experiences and the networks supporting reading in Italy, and we call them local paths for reading, the diffusion of models for the promotion of reading at national level, the main tool, and the establishment of monitoring tools and data banks to monitor the actions. We want to improve the work of the data bank, collecting data where we can upload data, the new local pacts, and then the other aspect is the website where you can consult the national calls. There is another word, call for. At the letter D of the law, we mention the well-being of the individuals, which is one of the other directions in which we want to go. Health, culture combined together, a stimulus creating a virtuous cycle. Attention to culture should be an element, a primary element in this development. The objectives are promoting reading in early years, reinforcing childcare centers, primary school, counseling centers for women, and the training of volunteers for reading, promoting reading for elderly people, promoting reading in the Tension Institute, promoting reading for disabled people and sensorial difficult, promoting reading in theaters. This is a new action of the action plan, and promoting a network for the diffusion of reading aloud. What the new action plan will try to implement is reinforcing the action already carried out in the last 2 years, funded with money in the last 2 years, a fund of approximately 4 million euro that was used to finance, to grant these public calls on the website and in the data bank. We have Reading Town, Libraries and Community, Reading for All, Read Me from 0 to 5. These were calls already financed in the past, and we have 2 new financing lines, Reading Aloud and translations. This is the the money divided into different areas. For each financial year, this is the total amount, divided into following areas, split, for example, in reading. For example, the biggest area of financing is for reading towns. Thanks to this action plan, we could. The numbers you are seeing on the screen are referred to 21-22. This is the report we presented in the Parliament recently. 14 public calls, for a total amount of 917 projects presented, filed, 209 considered acceptable for financing. Let's come to the reading pacts. There is a manifesto that you can find on our website. I won't go into the details of the pacts for reading. I want to read just the first one. Pacts for Reading is a government tool for the promotion and support of reading as action necessary to promoting reading. They are promoted by the Center of Books within the program Reading Towns. The third point is also interesting for you. Reading pacts aim at creating a synergy between the actors and establish a coordination between the various activities. Each stakeholder joins with the competencies and commits to train the other partners so as to share good practices. Joining the pacts means to reinforce of all the action program, and they go back to the territory with more strength. So we have a circuit, a positive circuit, starting from the local level, in regions such as Abruzzo, Umbria, where we have little villages under 6,000 inhabitants. It's very important to have more places, more small places, and together they join together and they can share a dimension which goes beyond the local dimension. This graph shows, before going to the conclusions, this is simply the total number of pacts activated and now in place that you can find on the website, where you can see the composition of the pacts, 841. But I am sure there are more, because recounting has been made recently, and I think we are above 900. If we look at Umbria, in the case of Umbria, I would like to remind you that these are joint municipalities project, but in Umbria all municipalities subscribe the pacts for reading. Umbria is covered at 100%, a small region in dimensions, but with the network. This is the sense of the network. Being together in a network means being connected, overcoming the barriers, the local barriers of the dimension of the small villages. From this slide, you can recognize the circularity of the National Action Plan through the financed project, reaching out to associations, child care centers, schools, third sector bodies, libraries. The Reading Pact has an impact on the territory and goes back multiplied and reinforced at national level. And from there we derive new ideas for new actions. As we wished at the beginning, we want to have indicators that enable us to monitor our actions, and you will find everything on our website. Thank you for the attention. This is a small bibliography, literature, how you can take part in our Pact for Readings. You can share your experience, the report that we presented in Parliament, and this book of the international experiences, which is very interesting, showing together with a book forum.
Fa una pausa però. Deve fare una pausa.
It's very important to understand how the projects for the book center and reading work. She confirmed that the national plan for reading will be funded, and we are very happy to know that you work there. Now I invite to the floor to Mr. Onofri, who is the spokesman for the coordination of UNESCO City for Learning, president also for cultural and language mediation. I won't repeat the title of the speech. I thank you. This is the last speech, and then we will have the conclusion and the
Mi sentite? Sì, perfetto. Bene, grazie innanzitutto a Olimpia Bartolucci.
Thank you, Olimpia Bartolucci, for the invitation. And from the invitation received by the Secretary General of the UNESCO, to talk about the Learning City UNESCO network and what the goals are. So please keep quiet so that my voice can reach everybody. Thank you to the interpreters that are carrying out this job. I am a director of an institute of interpreting and translators.
Participants to this important event, and I think we are focusing today on literacy, whereas traditionally we were accustomed with the idea that literacy was a problem only for the so-called countries in development.
Pensavamo che l'alfabetizzazione riguardasse solo i paesi in via di sviluppo, ma
countries. Questo era solo un piccolo omaggio ai nostri ospiti stranieri, insomma, per far sentire una vicinanza anche a loro. Bene, tutto ciò premesso.
So having premised that, the UNESCO Learning City Network and the candidacy of the manual handwriting, cursive manual handwriting as UNESCO cultural heritage, as intangible UNESCO heritage. the concept of learning city, UNESCO learning city in 17 words. 17 like the UN Agenda 2030. What is a learning city, UNESCO learning city? It's a city putting the permanent learning in the center of its policies for a urban sustainable development. This is the heart of every learning city. It's a dynamic recognition. It is not something static, recognition. It means that the cities showing excellence values are on their way to improve. They are cities on the way. It is a UNESCO network with headquarters in Hamburg, composed by 356 cities in 79 countries. What do they do, these cities, in practice? They promote inclusion learning, formal and not formal. It is clear then that libraries, if we want to talk about of today's object, libraries are the protagonists of these learning cities, promoting education, formal and non-formal and informal education system. The revitalization of learning in families and in communities, the effective learning for and in the workplace, the spread use of the modern learning technologies. I want to speak about that because it's a very delicate topic. The quality and the excellence in education and the lifelong learning, permanent lifelong learning. In particular, the United Nations through the UNESCO have focused on two goals, in particular, two goals from the UN Agenda 2030. Goal 4, to guarantee an inclusive quality education, as well as fair education, and promoting the opportunities, the learning opportunities, in a permanent way for everybody. And Goal 11, to make cities and towns inclusive, human towns as a safe, resilient and sustainable place. This is a graph to make you understand where this UNESCO learning cities are. They alone represent a country. We have in total 390 million inhabitants. So we go from little cities, from 20, 30,000 inhabitants. I live in Fermo, in the region Marche, which is a small city. But there is Shanghai too, which I don't remember how many million of inhabitants, maybe 15, 20. So from small towns to big cities. We know that within few centuries, more than 70% of the inhabitants will live in cities, in big cities, and with all the consequences of the case. What are the Italian cities? The first one is Torino, then we have Fermo, Palermo, Trieste, Lucca, and Reggio Calabria. Our periodical coordination committee meets periodically and creates the synergies among the different cities. We have some documents as a reference that we have translated into Italian for the ones who don't know English, and you can find these documents in the UNESCO website. They They are about the pillars of this UNESCO Learning Cities, and there's a guide as well explaining what this learning cities aims, what are their aims, their goals, and what UNESCO expects from them. How to join this network? There is a call to join this global network, and it is published every 2 years. Next call will be published in 2025. You must apply through the mayor of your city to the national committee, and at the same time you have to submit your application to the UNESCO network, the UNESCO National Committee. So each country can submit up to 3 applications every year. So,
Learning City. Allora, naturalmente, prima di fare questo passo formale,
first of all, the city must be prepared for the candidacy. If Orvieto wants to become a UNESCO Learning City, the first step is to publish online those steps of the things to be done and organize a network of all the institutions that that must collaborate together to achieve what we've seen in the first slide. The application is forwarded to the National Commission, and there's a final evaluation by the UNESCO Commission in Hamburg. Of course, there is bureaucracy. In order to submit your candidacy, there is bureaucracy. So there's not time to speak about of all the projects of these learning cities. But I want to speak about one of these projects. Since 2022, the Italian network supports a project to present the candidacy of manual cursive handwriting based on the Latin alphabet as intangible asset of the world. Keep into consideration that UNESCO has already approved the Arabic language, supported by 15 nations, the Chinese and the Chinese language as well. The Latin writing has never presented a candidacy. So this is what you see on the slide is the logo of the campaign. There is a promoting committee, and there's a manifesto of the campaign. The promotion committee is composed by the OSMED, by the Italian Graphologists Association, and by many politicians, and by all the ones who want to participate, to join. Why this campaign? The learning, the practice of cursive handwriting are an intangible asset at risk in all the education systems all over the world, all over the industrialized world, because of digital writing that sometimes doesn't go together with handwriting, but directly substitutes the handwriting. We can see, in fact, a raising growth of the disorder, specific disorder, learning disorders. there are a lot of problems, disorders linked to writing skills, reading skills, and accounting skills, calculation skills. These children, there are a lot of children that had difficulties in tying the strings of the shoes. That's why they don't wear shoes with strings. There is a parliament committee that is focusing on this issue. Every year we organize a calligraphy festival. And last year they even talk about it in a TV program dealing with medicine. Manual writing or digital writing, antagonism or synergy. That is the title of one of the questions we asked. We organized this festival, the Calligraphy Festival, together with the UNESCO Learning City Fermo, facing a theme which is important not only in Italy, but it is important at an international level. The UNESCO publishes periodically an international report, and in the publishing 2003 report, the topic of the learning of writing, of the writing skills, is at the center of the report. In relation, so this report underlines the relation between digital writing, with manual handwriting, cursive handwriting. There are brain areas involved. There are different brain areas involved in the learning of one type of writing and in the learning of another kind of writing. So I want to stress that in every meeting, capital writing provokes damage to the cognitive structure of the children. Those areas that are involved while writing with cursive handwriting are not involved. So if children don't write in a cursive way, those areas don't develop. I hope I'm still able to present the last slide. So this, the 7th Commission for Culture and Science at the Parliament is discussing this issue, and there's a draft law in program to organize the National Week for Handwriting, and the draft law speaks about the institution of an interministerial committee made of experts to support the candidacy, the UNESCO candidacy for cursive handwriting. And the idea is to involve other countries using the Latin alphabet. The idea is to involve these countries too.
As the collaboration of all the countries where the writing is based on Latin letters, okay? Concludo con una citazione.
Let me conclude with a quote that I really like.
Sembra sempre di combattere
Every time we fight with these
qualcosa di utopico.
issues, it seems like we're fighting with windmills.
Sembra un interesse digitale, mentre vedremo che
How to restore the cursive handwriting seems like something very old, ancient.
stiamo attenti perché tutto questo fa parte di un fenomeno molto pericoloso che io definisco di deschiling, e cioè
Let's pay attention to this, because this, the fact that we are losing this ability belongs to a de-skilling process.
skills, and you are substituting, replacing these skills with abilities that are not a real substitute, like the digital writing instead of the handwriting. La frase di un grande italiano, Adriano Olivetti,
An important Italian man, Olivetti, the word utopia is the easiest way to say when to dismiss when you don't want to do something, you're not able to do something, when you don't have the courage to do something, you use the term utopia. A dream seems a dream until you realize that if you don't start somewhere at this point, it becomes an intention. That means something bigger. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our last speaker. The big network, literacy network, includes bigger aspects. So we have talked about this UNESCO cities, learning cities network. Let's call again our friend Lagendorf, Pinna and Bartolucci for the conclusions. I want to make reference, I want to say that this day showed us the complexity of the literacy, of the theme of the literacy, but we've seen that we can speak about literacy in many aspects, and each aspect, each field of application requires a training. The other aspect that emerged clearly, and this is thanks to the way the meeting has been organized, so the importance of all the actors, the researchers, the librarians, so the importance of the people involved in the international programs. So we have available a pool of professionals that can support the work we have to carry out with regard to literacy. So the word to them. Quindi.
Otherwise I hear Italian. Dear attendants, I was asked to step in for the unfortunately ill Paula Kelly-Paul to close this inspirational day about all the interesting forms of literacy that are executed in Italy, especially here in Umbria. As we've seen today and yesterday, the library matters. We are facing universal challenges on literacy. The public library is able to support communities to help people to overcome their problems. For instance, towards low literacy, reading promotion for poor language families, and digital inclusion for elderly people. The library nowadays is so much more than a building where you can borrow books. It is a central beacon in local society. It's becoming more and more the leader to lead a literacy network with all sorts of organizations like the municipality, the schools, the childcare centers, the welfare and the youth health care. You are doing already a terrific job in Italy. The last 2 days pointed this out in a series of very interesting contributions of scientists and librarians. I'd like to thank all the people who made these days possible. For me and the other foreign members of the Literacy and Reading section of IFLA, the interpreters were very valuable. Please, a big hand for these two ladies. Thank you. And of course, a special thank to you, Olympia Bartolucci. Your endurance made this midterm meeting of our section possible and very successful. Thank you. And I'd like to close. Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to close with a heartfelt message from Paula. She likes to make an empowering statement to fuel, to fuel all colleagues to carry on making a difference, to partner with others, to continue to seek out and learn from others' best practice before we forge ahead, and to nurture our own well-being and dreams alongside our progressive momentum and commitment to empowering stronger, more connected, capable communities through literacy, learning, reading, and of course, libraries. Thank you so much.
What do we take home? What are the outtakes from these 2 days? From the point of view of the institutions, I ask you to believe that apart from the thank you that we repeated many times, it is not easy for a regional institution, also in a small region such as Umbria, which is small but very rich in differences in inputs. It's not easy for us to understand the different and various aspects implied in our jobs. Most people coming from Umbria, they know that we meet very often, that we face difficulties. It's difficult to work in a library, in a municipality with its own problems. Not only have to do with money, but relate with the citizens, the users, the schools, and so on. For a municipal administration, it is very difficult talking about books, about museums, with everything related to the constant commitment towards the cultural growth of our community. And going to the outside world, not only among professionals. You have seen, for example, many tourists in Orvieto, and they are attracted to this region because of its cultural values, for the offer of arts, of history we can give. Reasoning and taking home all these various aspects to continue to work towards the future, to improve and maintain our cultural offer, it's very difficult. I always tell that when we organize exhibitions, conferences, events, we open our museums, we open our libraries, we work always, we are very good in giving, in offering, in delivering a cultural offer. We must be better in working on the cultural demand. The cultural demand is the basis of the work today. If we don't have readers, then we won't have users of libraries. We will have less students in schools. School leavers is a problem everywhere, also in Italy. but we are always talking of the let us grow, let the demand grow. We want to grow citizens that love knowledge, culture, art, history, literacy, reading literacy, writing literacy brought us together. How can we transfer the love for culture in different sectors to the younger generation? But don't forget all the word of the lifelong learning. Our region is growing older. We have many elderly people. We need to keep alive curiosity, the will to go out of their homes to learn, and to involve people that risk to have less interest in culture. The people becoming always less and less sociable. They need to meet and share approaches to knowledge, which should be a stimulus for the daily life to overcome the idea of being alone, not to see outcomes, perspectives for the future in a period where life is getting longer. This is what we have to face, and these are, as a public administration, not only the funding of projects, but this, as administration, is what to have to keep in mind. All the lessons we learned in these days, also in the dialogue with our foreign partners. What can we do? What indicators we should take into consideration? And we need the help of the university, of the research centers that will give us the tools to understand if what we are doing now is going towards the right direction, if we have to go other paths, if we have to adapt to other goals. And maybe in 2 years we will be able, in another beautiful town in Umbria, with IFLA, with the other friends that want to be with us, and describe the next piece of road, the next track we will go through together. I will greet Monica Fiore, our chairperson, had to go away, but she was very happy about these 2 days. I thank you, and having seen the perfect conclusions, I would like to thank the colleagues of IFLA, the colleagues of Literacy in Reading, that accepted the proposal to carry out in Orvieto this event. And I thank you for reaching Orvieto, coming from so many different faraway places. I thank the municipality Orvieto and Ms. Carla Lodi and her incredible staff. I don't remember all the names, but I would like to mention everybody. They were perfect, and the whole network of Reading Born to Read. There is a big network here in Orvieto. It was beautiful to see how this community is strong, and in Umbria we really worked on the network. I thank the National Italian Library Association, represented here by the chairman, the vice president, and the National Commission for Public Libraries. And I thank all the speakers that accepted our invitation to organize such a difficult 2 days with so many different interventions, and the wish I also thank my colleagues of my office helping and giving an hand to organize everything, and the wish is that we will meet again with an event of this kind. I wish you a nice trip home.